You don't own your music, you don't own your movies, you don't even own your memories. We don't really own anything anymore, and it's kind of getting out of control. It all started with... Think about the first ever CD, game, or DVD that you ever bought. I still remember the first DVD that I ever bought for myself, Big Hero 6. I loved this movie, I watched it so many different times. And I still have it today. Here it is. It's something that can't be taken away from me, because I own it for the rest of my life. But there's other benefits too. For example, I can just lend somebody my DVD. There's also just a general sense of nostalgia from seeing my favorite CD or my favorite game or my favorite DVD on my shelf. It's something special that comes with just having that piece of physical media. But the world is quite different now. In the early 2000s, physical copies of DVDs and CDs made up for $22 billion in global revenue. But now they only account for barely $3 billion of the global market. Physical game sales used to account for $12 billion in revenue at its peak. But now, physical game sales only account for a little over $1 billion every year. And this rapid decline is directly related to the emergence of streaming. Netflix began as a DVD by mail service in 1997. And in 2007, Netflix began their streaming service. It started with just 1,000 titles, a fraction of what we know today, but it changed how we thought about consuming. It was all just available on a single device. It was really convenient. And Spotify did the same thing in its release in 2008. You no longer had to buy a bunch of different CDs. You can now make playlists of all your favorite artists for only $10 a month. With these new streaming platforms, it slowly killed the need to buy DVDs or CDs as more titles and artists were added to the platforms. But it also gave these companies a good form of recurring revenue. They could predict X amount of subscribers would pay for every month. They could now give stockholders a better picture of their overall revenue. And because of this, more companies joined in on the subscription craze from new industries that it wasn't in previously. Adobe Creative Cloud released in 2013, and it denoted a significant split from Adobe's usual one-time purchase of Adobe software. Companies saw that people were willing to pay monthly fees to use their software. It would eventually be more than how much they would have gotten for a one-time sale. One of the most notable recent subscription announcements was Snapchat. They now want people to pay a fee every month for more than 5 gigabytes of storage in their memories. And this would make more sense if it was more like Apple's iCloud, which initially charged people to have any more space than 5 gigabytes. But Snapchat has had unlimited storage since its release, so to limit the storage means that almost every user now has to pay this fee or they risk losing their memories. It's really unfair, and it shows us that at any point, at any time, companies can add some new tier or raise subscription prices or make any change that they want. The ad-free $7.99 tier that Netflix debuted with is now $17.99, a 125% increase and 8 times the rate of inflation. Disney Plus started at $6.99 in 2019, and just a few years later, now it is $18.99 for that same tier. When companies do raise their prices, they usually aren't making any improvements to the services themselves. They're just raising the prices. But it's hard for us to stop paying for it because we get so used to having these services. My family pays for the ad-free tier on Netflix. And we aren't going to downgrade. We don't want to downgrade. We don't want to be measly little peasants watching ads on Netflix. We've never had to experience that, and we never want to experience that. And all these different streaming platforms are constantly removing content, and we don't really unsubscribe when they remove this content because it's inconvenient for us to unsubscribe and resubscribe when we see something of interest, so we just stay subscribed. And then there's other subscriptions that are just more of necessity. Like I have iCloud on my phone, and if you have iCloud, you know that it compresses your files so that you can have more than you could ever have if you didn't have iCloud. And I think that's a technique to actually get you to stay on it because I don't know what I would do if I just got rid of iCloud. So I guess I'll just have to keep it till I die. But that's why companies are able to do all these different things because we value convenience, and the convenient thing to do is to stay on the same plan and not change and just deal with whatever changes the streaming service throws at us. Like one of the most out-of-pocket thing that these streaming services did was kick all the students in college off of their parents' plans because they wanted to make extra money from having their parents pay for another person to be on the plan. Like, it's kind of really greedy of these companies. And sometimes this subscription plan loyalty makes it so you can't even see things that have better quality. Like, Apple Music has had lossless audio since its debut and has cheaper plans than Spotify. But Spotify is still more popular because people don't want to remake their playlists, and it's kind of scary to have to venture to a new platform that you've never used before. We like what we're familiar with, and we stick with these companies even when they do something bad. There's several products that companies just turn off after already selling them and people buying them. Like Spotify's car thing, people bought that, and then Spotify was just like, you know what? I don't really want this anymore. So then they took it back and everybody lost their $90 that they spent on that. They deactivated it. And Spotify isn't the only company that can make changes to things that you think you already own. Kindle editions have entirely disappeared because of disputes with Amazon, and you can't necessarily get rid of Kindle because you already paid for the book, so you'll lose your book if you get rid of the Kindle app. They hold absolute power, and this carries into how they handle other things. Companies will aim to raise profit and usually place the user second to this. We can explicitly see this in the gaming industry. Gaming's version of the subscription is the Battle Pass, and Fortnite was the game to popularize this. So Fortnite, every new season, they would have a new Battle Pass, and after games saw how much money Fortnite was making from this, they decided they wanted to do it as well. But companies did it a lot different than Fortnite. Fortnite really only offered different cosmetic things in their game. It didn't necessarily make the game less fun for users who were playing for free. But the games that implemented it after Fortnite did not have the same idea of this. One of the most notable games is Clash Royale. They have implemented a lot of different things that make their game a lot less fun because they want to turn a profit. They have their own version of the Battle Pass, but this gives users a direct advantage, and a lot of people think that the game is now pay to win because of it. They added evolutions, they added all these different items that really give people who pay money to the app a really significant advantage, and they make it a lot less fun for players who don't pay. And there's plenty of games that are like this because of this new Battle Pass thing where companies are now prioritizing profit over users. But the question remains, think about how many different subscriptions you have. Do you even know this number? I didn't know this number until I actually started to make this video, and I think that's pretty significant. We need to do a better job of keeping track of all of our different things that we spend our money on every month. Amazon recently had to pay a lawsuit for over $2 billion over tricking people to enroll in Prime. Amazon also makes it incredibly tempting to enroll in a subscription for items that you might order reoccurringly month to month. So Amazon's able to get a lot more profit by having these subscriptions because you don't remember when you subscribe to something. You might forget. And for most other subscriptions, you don't even really get an email of your receipt. It's just automatically charged to your credit card. That's why it's important that we as consumers pay attention to our consuming in the first place. More recently, we've seen how withholding our dollars can actually change a company's decisions. Like Jimmy Kimmel being reinstated by Disney after they lost 1.7 million subscribers on Disney+. Or like BMW reversing their plans to charge for heated seats after getting a bunch of backlash. Our dollars have value when we move effectively, and we don't have to take all these changes that these companies make. We can also still buy things that we want to have physically. I still buy all my games that I want as a cartridge. Maybe it's a bit of nostalgia, but also it's because one time me and my brother bought Animal Crossing off the Nintendo eShop and our 3DS broke, and then we lost all of our progress and all of the money that we spent on the game. I also own a few CDs and a few DVDs. I guess you could call me a little old school. There's even alternatives to paying for streaming services. Not that I would suggest anything. I don't think subscriptions are inherently a bad thing. I think they offer so much more than we ever could have dreamed of back in the 90s. I wasn't even alive in the 90s. But we do need to make sure we don't pay for things that shouldn't be subscription based. Because if a company can get a bag, they're going to keep on trying to get a bag. So stay vigilant, stay ready, and subscribe maybe, and watch your baby. Yo, what's up guys? Be sure to subscribe if you haven't done that yet. And also comment or like my video because it really helps my channel a lot. And we got 2 other videos to watch if you guys enjoyed that one and want to watch some more. Catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching.